I never believed in demons. It's one of those things you hear about in horror movies or read about in folklore, but who really buys into that stuff? I was a skeptic, an adventurer who thought that if I could conquer the most dangerous caves or explore the darkest forests, I could laugh in the face of all that supernatural nonsense. But that was before I found myself miles beneath the earth, trapped in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. It was supposed to be a simple exploration, a few days of spelunking with some friends. We'd done it before, hiking, caving, the usual, but we'd never seen anything like this. We set out on a small expedition to find the hidden cavern, known only to the locals as the Devil's Hollow. It was rumored to be the site of strange happenings and bizarre legends, but that was just it. Legends. And those were always exaggerated, right? At least, that's what we thought. We spent hours descending deeper and deeper into the earth. The further we went, the more the world above felt like a distant memory. The walls of the cave seemed to close in around us, the air growing thicker with every step. It was cold, unnaturally cold. The kind of cold that creeps under your skin and chills your bones, even when you're wearing multiple layers of clothing. My breath fogged in front of me, and yet I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. I thought it was just the environment, the pressure of being so far underground. But then the whispers started. They were barely audible at first, just a faint murmur that seemed to echo off the walls. I brushed it off as the wind. There was always a draft in these caves. But then the whispers grew louder, low, guttural sounds that were so distorted, they barely resembled any human language. It was as if something, or someone, was speaking to us, but not with words. There was a cadence, a rhythm to it, but it wasn't anything we could understand. My friends noticed it too. Jason, ever the skeptic, stopped in his tracks. "Did you hear that?" he asked, his voice tight with uncertainty. We all nodded, looking around, half expecting someone to jump out at us from behind a rock. But no one was there, only the whispers. And then there was the smell. It was faint at first, just a trace, like a hint of something burning, but then it grew stronger, more nauseating. Sulfur, like someone had been lighting firecrackers or burning something foul. The smell was so thick I could almost taste it. It burned my nostrils and made my eyes water. I glanced at my friends, but no one spoke. We all knew what we were smelling, even if we didn't want to admit it. It was the smell of something old, something ancient. That's when we found it. We had been walking for what felt like hours, winding through narrow passages, ducking under stalactites, when the cave suddenly opened up into a massive cavern. The ceiling was high above us, too high for our flashlights to reach. The walls were jagged, twisted, and blackened by time, and in the center of the room was an altar, a stone slab, ancient and covered in strange, blood-like stains. But it wasn't the altar that caught our attention, it was the carvings. The symbols etched into the stone weren't anything we'd seen before. They were unfamiliar, alien in their complexity. Spirals, twisted shapes, and angular patterns that seemed to move under the light like they were alive. None of us could read them, but they didn't look like anything man-made. The air felt charged around them, vibrating with an unseen energy that set my teeth on edge. And then we saw it. It wasn't immediately obvious, hidden in the shadows at first, but as we moved closer, I saw it. A figure hunched over on the other side of the altar. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, some odd formation of rocks, but then it moved. Slowly, deliberately, and as it stood, I felt a coldness settle over the room, as if the temperature had dropped 30 degrees in an instant. Its eyes glowed, a deep, malevolent red. I couldn't look away, even as every instinct in me screamed to run. There was something primal in those eyes, something ancient and hungry, and I knew in that moment that whatever it was not human, not even close. The whispers grew louder, No longer whispers, but now distorted screams that clawed at my mind, filling my head with images of death and destruction. It was as if the very air was alive with terror. And then it reached out. Its its claws extended toward us, elongated and unnatural, its fingers tipped with jagged black nails that seemed to drip with some kind of dark fluid. I felt the air grow heavy, as if the weight of the cave itself was pushing down on me, squeezing the breath from my lungs. My friends were already backing away, panic setting in. Jason was the first to turn and run, his flashlight bouncing wildly as he scrambled toward the entrance. But the cave had other plans. The walls shifted. No, they moved. It was as if the very earth was alive, bending and twisting, trapping us inside. I heard the thing's footsteps then, slow, deliberate, closer, closer. I ran too, blindly, heart pounding in my chest, but every turn I took led me deeper into the labyrinth. The further I went, the more the cave seemed to shift and change, its passages twisting in on themselves. It was like the walls were closing in, suffocating me. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I was losing my mind. And then, just as I thought I couldn't go any further, I saw the exit. The light from the outside world breaking through the cracks in the rock. With a final burst of energy, I pushed through, stumbling out into the open air, gasping for breath. I looked back, but the cave was silent now, dark, unyielding. My friends, they didn't make it out. I don't know what happened to them. I don't know if they're still down there, trapped in the dark, or if there's something else now, but I was the lucky one, or maybe the unlucky one. Because once you've seen something like that, once you've felt the presence of something that wasn't human, something that's been down there for centuries, something that wants to claim you as its own, you don't ever forget it. And I know that whatever it was, it's still down there, waiting, and it's not done with me yet. Have you ever felt the presence of something that wasn't human? Something that hungers for you, that wants to drag you into its dark lair, to claim you as its own? If you've ever been to the depths of the earth, and you felt the weight of the dark pressing in, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, well, maybe it's better that way. But be warned, there are places deep beneath the surface where the world as we know it ends and something else begins. And once you cross that threshold, there's no turning back. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and follow us for more. Join us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Blue Sky for more bone-chilling chronicles. If you dare.